operating in remote locations, otherwise known as SWIRL, was conceived by Lawry Mahon from the College of Education at Victoria University. For the past 20 years, he's taken pre-service teachers from Melbourne to remote Northern Territory schools for their teaching placement. We follow Lawry on his 20th trip to the Territory with a group of pre-service teachers on their first SWIRL experience. Our story begins with a fundraising activity.
I'm going to Woogala, which is east of Catherine. It's just on the highway of the East Arnhem Road, a very long dirt road all the way to Woogala. Yeah.
So Claire and myself are here in Jilkminggan, and also Tara and Nally are up here in Woogala, and we're all staying in Mataranka. So, yeah.
My experiences in terms of like practical real life experiences with Indigenous people and Indigenous culture are very, very small.
My big problems going into this is that coming to terms with that post-colonialist feeling that this program has, that we're a bunch of generally middle class white kids going in to save the local black kids.
Frustrates me that people are quite ignorant about Aboriginal culture and just about difference in general.
I want to be able to work in an empowering way with my students, and I feel like the mainstream schooling system at the moment doesn't allow as much of that as I would like to do.
This is really kind of a selfish endeavour because it's more about my development as an educator.
I also think by building my knowledge of Indigenous culture, it will inform my practice even if I'm not working with Indigenous students.
It's 6 weeks where you get the feel of what it's like being away from home, well, the home that you know, being away from medical, major medical centres.
Lawry has said a few times as well, who's the real student in this.
I'd like to raise a toast to Lawry for being the best mentor ever.
We're aware of the colonising impact, and we are part of that. Because we're not Indigenous, we will actually be, in some way, part of the colonising force, but we're aware of it.
I didn't really know much about Indigenous culture or perspectives or anything like that, and I think to teach in Australia you need to know. When I was at school, we didn't learn anything about Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders. I mean, we did some dot paintings, but it had no meaning behind it at all. We learned a little bit about Dreamtime, but that had no meaning either. So somehow have to fit my tent, sleeping mat, all my clothes for 6 weeks, and my sleeping bag, toiletries, shoes, into this hiking backpack, which I brought especially for hoping to do a lot of camping while I'm there, kind of embrace everything.
Number 4, that should be everybody, and the rest will go in the woods. I was invited to a remote community in 1996 by a friend who was teaching there to do some astronomy work with the kids because, 2 reasons. I wanted to get up and have a look at the night skies in the Northern Territory, and I was very interested in what this person was doing with the kids in the community. And I had my 3 children with me. They were all under 14 at that stage, and I noticed that the books those kids were reading in that remote Aboriginal community were identical books, the same names, the same authors, the same stories as my kids were reading at Ascot Primary School. And I felt a bit of an overwhelming sense of sadness about that, because these kids were all Indigenous kids and there was not one black face Not one black story on any of those books those kids were using to learn to read. And I guess I felt that was quite unjust. And I said, well, I reckon I can get a bunch of students that like to come back up here and work with the kids, and we'll make our own books. Basically what we've been doing ever since.
During the first week of their placement at Yarralin, the pre-service teachers Brittany and Sam observed the principal, Chris Dockery, and other school staff in their classrooms.
Good morning, Regina. Good morning, Chantel. What did you do? You were playing. All right. And what did you play? Hiding and seek. Okay. All right, terrific. Thank you, Chantel.
As a teacher from a mainland, like the rest of Australia, you come out with a certain assumption, and you can throw most of those out the window, and you can't take anything for granted. There's 60 students on the roll, about 3 of them speak English at home. Because they're all ESL, English as a second language, then you have to approach things in an entirely different way, and you have to allow for that.
So how did you find today?
It was a lot more challenging than I thought it would be, actually. I think that was because I didn't have control of the class. I think once I actually plan things and I have control of the class, I think I'll feel better. I don't know, I just don't like watching. I like doing stuff. But they all love technology.
So are you thinking of any ways that you can incorporate technology?
Well, definitely with the grade 6s, we should probably do with the iPads.
Yep. Do you even know the stories, by the way?
It's across from the oval, so there's the oval, yeah? So it's here somewhere.
For some kids, it's hard to speak English because they're trying to encourage all the kids to speak English in class now. And, it takes time and they'll speak it when they're ready. So, I don't think they should be pushed into speaking English because, they can understand it, but it takes time to pronounce it back.
From the powers, the government bodies who seem deliberately setting out and with hand over heart to say, well, these kids have to learn English. And of course they need to learn English. But there are a variety of pathways to learn English, and one of them is not to destroy their initial language. That, to me, is a deep crisis that in 100 years' time some future politician will apologise for. But it'll be too late.
So you come in and take their position with them?
After a week of observations, the pre-service teachers begin the process of finding an authentic way of engaging students in the formal classroom setting. This can take time.
Playing a few fun games to get our creative juices flowing in our head. And then we're going to do a writing activity. We need to get used to writing after lunch because that's what we're going to be doing for a long time, but it'll be really fun.
Well, how's it going for you guys?
Yeah, kids are amazing.
They're fabulous, aren't they?
Every single one of them are, yeah.
How is it matching with your expectations?
Yeah, well, obviously the kids are pretty good at sport. They love being outside, so the kids like the outdoors, and they know a lot about the bush.
And the environment. Like, even when we went frog catching, like, they knew exactly what rocks to pick up, like the ones that aren't so stuck onto the ground, like all this stuff that they were teaching us. And I was like, I had no idea, but...
I just pick up the rock and I find the frog and I grab it.
Do any of that happen in school at all? Do they?
No, that's what I was saying to Sarah.
Recognise any of that?
Like, I'm getting all these ideas while we're doing these things out of school with the kids.
Great.
Like how they herd the pigs and catch the pigs.
Fabulous
and
books.
everything like that. They would be able to do that, and that they could teach people as well. And I think it would be really quite interesting. Same with the frogs. Same with skipping stones.
Yeah, we've got to get their stories, not ours. You know, if you know what I mean. There's enough of ours goes on in schools, but what about their stories? What's it like for them? And having their face on the book, so that, you know, even if they're selfies, they've got a bit of ownership over it. It's their story, their face, their book.
Visit to Yarralin, Lawry sets off on a 500-kilometre drive to visit pre-service teachers who are placed at Jilkminggan School. During this trip, Lawry notices that there is less opportunity in some schools to engage students in SWIRL activities. This is due to the government implementation of direct instruction, a conservative teacher-directed method used to teach students explicit skills. This was critiqued by Lawry and the SWIRL participants during their stay in the Northern Territory.
Visitors.
Hey, how you doing?
You looking well?
Yeah, we just had a workout. So.
I think a lot just hit me this afternoon when we got that. Yeah. Like, we were in assembly today and we got a call came through to one of the teachers, and a young, I think 16, 17-year-old had committed suicide. I think it's just sinking in that, like, I guess the barriers that the teachers face in the classroom. And it's not just the barriers of the government and the structures that they put in place for us to teach within. It's also just the social barriers.
There's only so much the teacher can do, even though you want to do so much more.
So we're teaching these kids in the confines of this classroom, and that's where we can take control, and that's where we can do what we can do. But we also have to tick boxes that say we need to teach them a certain amount of literacy and a certain amount of numeracy per day, and that literally just overtakes almost the entire day.
It's the English way. They're so adamant on spelling something correctly when I believe if the communication's there, then why,
But how do you explain to a child who is completely literate in their own language the difference between new K-N-E-W and new N-E-W when it doesn't make any sense at all? How do you explain something
I was trying to do that today and I couldn't.
Yeah. So how do you get them to understand at a deeper level what you're trying to teach them? You can't. I don't even understand that, I just know it. And then they have to read books that talk about some fucking grandpa getting up on a roof and painting the roof purple. Like, they don't care, and I don't care either, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that they read these words, and they do read the words, and they struggle, but they read them at varied levels. They don't care they don't care to comprehend what they're actually reading and what the story is actually saying, what's occurring within that text. And I don't care either, because it's boring as batshit, to be honest.
We try and relate like the content to their everyday life, but a lot of the times the books, you know, they aren't. They don't have anything to do with their real life. We did something on pets today, which instead of, you know, cat, dog and fish, we were like, pelicans or buffaloes, like how you would treat a pelican, because a lot of the kids find pelicans and bring them home. But we could change that to make it relatable. But there's a lot of stuff that has no purpose, really, in their lives.
Yeah.
Look over there. Big dog.
Really excited about anything creative, so music, dancing, singing, drumming. Generally, anything that involves being creative in some way or...
Creative and active,
I think that it's quite possible that they have, and when I say they, I guess I just mean the government in general, but it's as if they have no desire whatsoever for these Indigenous students to succeed. Because if they did, they wouldn't be asking teachers to teach the things that they're asking them to teach, and in the way they're asking them to teach it.
There's a whole lot of Australians who, at the core of their ideas, whatever they put on top of it and however they put it, basically think that Indigenous people are in these positions and these problems are around in these communities because it's their fault.
Yeah.
Like, it's them, it's their culture, it's
just not a priority for most of Australia.
We actually talk a little bit about that. How do you respond to someone who is a blatant racist without getting into a fight? Sometimes you need to walk away, other times you say, well, look, I actually don't see it that way. We had many times where our students were in tears with the things that they were confronted with by whites in Alice Springs who gave Aboriginal people an overt, disgustingly hard time.
Principals conference once, and I was sort of a teaching principals conference, and I was probably most experienced teaching principal in the region there at the time, and they said, oh Des, you've been here longer, what's the answers? And I said, I've actually got less answers than you might, and they all had and laughed. And I said, no, I said, you think about it, when you first walked into your community, you're leader of the school, and you would go on to bed every night with thinking you had an answer for an issue that might have come up that day. And the longer you stay there, the more complex and the more your little simple solutions don't work. And sometimes for really good reasons, sometimes for reasons you've got no absolute idea about. It's really, really complicated. These people out, say someone like here at Jilkminggan, have seen so many white fella teachers come and go. When I got here, the average stay was only 8 months. So, you know, realistically, you're not going to get much of a relationship developing in that time.
Indigenous education is all about relationships and that takes, like anywhere, it takes ages to form a decent relationship. So the longer people stay, the better results you get for sure. Compared to the old days when we get teachers from down south, might bring perfect, CVs and the best reports. They'll come up and they'll just go, I don't want to work here. I didn't realise there is not a proper shop. There's not this. I didn't realise that, the community might be a bit dysfunctional, it's noisy of a night, and all these things they didn't realise. Whereas to go through any program like the SWIRL program, those people know it. And people like me, principals, we recognise and value those people, and so they're sort of top on the list to get employment.
A better risk.
They're almost no risk because they're going to stay.
I think what we try and do is form respectful, reciprocal relationships. We try and develop that third space that is a combined space for Indigenous people and us, where we're comfortable and they're comfortable, and I think it really pays off.
Get in a little bit closer. Oh, okay, that was great. Good work. Do you want to watch that one?
Yeah.
Then we'll go back inside.
And you're going to put it on together.
Is it? Right here, look over here. And this is your camp, is it? Oh, beautiful photos. Oh, look at all those nice smiles. No dogs here, Silent. Look at all those.
So let's bring him up. That's good. Worldwide for history, you only go one way. Not Aboriginal people. We teach him two ways. Our culture and white man culture. We can tell them about stories, what's been happening from the beginning.
Over the years, pre-service teachers from Victoria University have worked with hundreds of school students to create their SWIRL books. Back in Yarralin, with only a couple more weeks until the placement finishes, Brittany and Sam begin to look outside the school to find ways of engaging the community in the students' education. They are pleased to find that the community and the school are very supportive of their approach.
Having the two pre-service teachers has been excellent. We've done a whole lot of things that we never would have done if they hadn't been here. That's the good part for us, because it makes us not take for granted our environment and to show it off and show people things.
Just talk to your Indigenous staff, about what can and you can't do in the community. Show you whatever you wanted to know. Take you places and show you things and talk to you, teach you language and everything.
Yeah. That wood is the right one to cook any meal, meat. Otherwise it's going to be dry.
It is very important to us to fill our kids with their language and knowledge of their communities, and to respect both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people.
Hey, Dylan. Yeah, if it's okay, I'm going down and have a talk to this old lady or this old fella. He could sing this song for you, and it could be like anything you want. Stuff like this, like cultural activities, getting the oldies to come down and talk to the kids. The kids pay a lot of attention to the oldies these days, and like with a story to tell, the kids will actually focus and keep that story in their head. Yeah. Bit of knowledge passed down to them.
Hello!
Alright, sit down. My
my stomach getting me.
We got some meat left over for the other class.
And when you leave country to go back home, you have a little smoking process. It's just to say that you're leaving your family, behind, and you didn't come here to, disturb them.
Actually related to all of them. Tasha is my niece and Olivia is my niece.
No.
Yeah, niece. Niece like daughter, but niece. Other kids around the school comes up to me and call me mom a lot. Yeah, sometimes auntie, sometimes sister. So yeah.
I work at the school as an assistant teacher, helping the teachers translating language into English, making them understand, helping them how to use computers, telling them stories about our ways of life, how we used to live. Really want to become a teacher because I see the kids, they need a role model to lead them the right way.
Namit and Jangana married, and if they have a kid, their kid's skin name is Nanavu. If it's a girl, it's Nanavu, and if it's a boy, it's Janama. Janama. My right skin is Manny. Manny is my right skin, so you gotta marry me.
Most of our children now, that don't know anything about their culture now.
Yeah.
And I think there's most of the children here that don't know the meaning of the word too, and they don't speak it much. Like I don't even hear them speak their own language.
Really?
Properly, yeah.
I thought as soon as they're not in school, they speak their own language.
No,
That's
at
not
home,
the case.
it's not now.
Really?
It's just Creole and the English,
Really?
I like talking in my own language.
Yeah.
But when I'm around other people that don't understand, I speak English.
Like right now?
Yeah.
During Brittany and Sam's stay at Yarralin, Joy shared with them her experiences of growing up at the local cattle station.
Yeah, and some people used to live over there, the single men, over there.
The single men?
Yeah, like, when they jackaroo.
Lola, come here. Your husband, this one? This is my house.
This one? Used to be Joy's. Lucy was telling me today. This one.
This is the biggest cattle station in the world, it was. Many of our indigenous people was cooking for manager, cleaner, wash clothes, even working in the shop. Bring a lot of memory back for me. Well, I look at my old ways. It's gone, but I still respect it and I still remember it. And I try to teach my kids, my grandkids, what it was before.
We have a special guest at the school. Auntie Joy has come to talk to the class and tell us some Dreamtime stories.
Rainbow service. That big snake in a quarter, young one even stuck. You got a jolt like a hook marriage. Well, his tail even get stuck like one of them root. And they've been hungry too. They would find this big snake laying down there, they would kill him. They would eat him. And when they would cut him up and cook him, they would make a lot of fire, big wood, they would make him cook that courage. And you warga lang, and chuck him in the sky. Even making me just like a cloud. And even raining now. Even rain, fill them up all a big river first.
16 years ago, there were 59 Aboriginal languages in the Northern Territory down to their final speaker. Now, to me, that's 15 years ago, 16 years ago, half of those people will have passed on, and there will be half of those languages are gone forever. If they were some form of parrot, there would be an international outcry, and that would be stopped and reversed instantaneously. But because it's kids' languages, it seems to be accepted, which I find a tragedy.
Main thing I've learnt, I think, about authentic experiences. It's like we're having with writing the storybooks about things that they love. They're really getting a lot more out of it, and actually remembering when they want to spell crocodile, they remember how to spell crocodile because they want to write about it. And they feel smart with our SWIRL stuff. Their ideas are great, and we make sure they know how great they are and how special they are.
That's really good, man. That's awesome.
How many people, how many adults have fully paid jobs in the Yarralin community? There's 4 police, I think 1 may be Indigenous. There's, I don't know about the nurses, I know there are 3 or 4 Aboriginal teachers in the school who aren't on the same wage as the non-Indigenous teachers. So they're being taught all sorts of things about being Aboriginal, and a lot of them aren't great.
This is their country, this is their home. They would like to see them grow up here and then go to college and get their good education, come back and, yeah, maybe run something, you know. So you got plumbers, builders and carpenters and mechanics.
Yeah, they all come out of the one community.
Yeah, so when they come back, maybe they might be a lawyer or could be anything. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, but it all starts here first, eh?
It starts here.
As the pre-service teachers conclude their placement, it's time for some reflection. Like those who have experienced SWIRL before them, they agree that as teachers they have a unique opportunity to create classrooms which promote and value Indigenous histories, perspectives and ways of knowing.
What about the impact this experience here is having on how you would treat the variety of children in schools in Melbourne?
I think it just opens up the whole aspects of cultural diversity and understanding that children learn in different ways, and it's important to be able to cater for all learners. So, well, we've been lucky because we get to see some people putting in a lot of time and love and effort into it. So
I think that it'll be more evident once we get back and step into an open classroom how this experience is actually going to affect how we teach and have our own classroom.
One of the biggest things that I'm taking away from this is the importance of being involved in the community that you're working in.
Yeah. I came here hoping to find heaps of resources and ideas for how to be more culturally inclusive and how to integrate Aboriginal histories and education within the classroom. But I think I've kind of learned, and I guess I kind of already knew this before, that being someone who's not Aboriginal, I can't really do that, and I can't really teach their histories or anything. But what I can do is, like I've done here, seek out the Aboriginal elders and everything like that to do some Dreamtime stories and to just teach the histories rather than me just Googling stuff and teaching it that way. So I want to continue that in Melbourne. And so we're doing a Skype call with a school in Yarralin in Melbourne. And I just want to really keep going with stuff like that as well.
All right, are we ready to meet your new friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your name? Hi. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Jacinta. What's the other thing?
Do you have any questions?
Do you let your dogs in the house?
Yeah. Yes.
Put your hand up
if you let your dog in the house? Heaps of people let their dogs in the house.
Yeah, can we show you a little